The Texas A&M Aggies welcome LSU to Bluebell and take 2 of 3 from the Tigers thanks to Caden Sorrell's heroics in Game 3. Poetic. Harrison, it was poetic the way it ended because of how we've talked about Caden Sorrell. Him being the spark plug that essentially it feels like has single-handedly, I know it's been more than him, but it feels like has turned around A&M's season going all the way back to that Saturday in Knoxville. He comes up, hits the first hit of the weekend, I might add, hits the big bomb late in the game. Texas A&M wins the rubber match. This series was pure cinema, Harrison. I mean, all 3 games were close. I heard him talking about on the broadcast. Like, if you look at I didn't realize how close the series history is. These 2 teams are essentially like 500 against each other since they started playing.
I think it's they've played 65 times, and it's 34, 31, and 1 is the series.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how tight these contests have been. But Texas A&M getting the better of LSU. Harrison, we talked about how important this one was for the Aggies when you talk about building their postseason resume, fighting towards the postseason. You know, I was still very skeptical going into the weekend that this was really, are they really going to finish it off? Are they really going to make a run to the postseason? Well, Harrison, now the Aggies sit at 10-14 in conference play with series wins at Arkansas, at LSU,
Tennessee.
and at Tennessee.
Yeah.
So things are looking up in Aggie land.
Chris,
and for LSU,
they have the next 2 series in the regular season.
Yes, they are. What do they have? They have Mizzou at home,
Missouri at home,
at
and
Georgia.
at Georgia.
So still an opportunity to get to. I think even maybe with 12 SEC wins, this team might get in. But you could just, I mean, heck, they got Mizzou coming up. So getting to 13 feels pretty likely. Then you got Georgia close out. Either way, Harrison,
and then the tournament.
Massive, yeah, and then the tournament. But a massive weekend for the Aggies. And for LSU, listen, I'm still high on the Tigers. I just saw them 2 weeks ago or so. Week or so ago, I should say. The thing that concerns me with them is when they face good arms, man, that lineup can go ice cold so quick. The arms, their arms are there. Anthony Ianton spun a gem. Cade Anderson pitched well. You know, I love Case and Evans if they can continue to trot him out there in the Sunday role, the Game 3 role. Here's the thing, Harrison, you went to your guy in Zach Cowan, and he gives up the bomb. So, I mean, I'm not worried about LSU, but, man, a gut punch to lose to the Aggies on the road. I know there's a lot of LSU fans, a lot of our LSU friends that are reeling here on this Monday.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, the ceiling or I guess the floor for LSU is their pitching staff with how good their 1, 2, 3 punches and the guys in the bullpen they have. I mean, yet again, Chris, I'll start with Anthony Ianson. Just kind of the highlight, I think, pitching staff of the weekend was Anthony Ianson, 9 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 14 Ks, 1 walk. I mean, Chris, come on. I mean, he just a stud. He's gotten better, it feels like, every single outing throughout the year. And I think he's gotten better in the sense of how he pitches and executing his pitches and just kind of being more surgical with it. Not trying to do too much, but just the execution has been so much more surgical and pinpoint. And you got Cade Anderson that goes before him on a Friday in a Game 1, and he goes 12 punchies in 6 innings. I mean, come on. Scatters 3 hits, 1 run. I mean, the guys that they have do that. I know you said Cowan gave up, obviously, the runs there and kind of let that game go. But, I mean, he's just so talented, too. Out of the bullpen, they have arms out of the bullpen that can do that. You don't have to use any in Game 2 with Ianson. And then, it's just Game 3, anything can happen. Everyone's available, Chris. And
Game 3 on the road, too.
On the road, too. I mean, Case Evans obviously doesn't have his best stuff. I mean, I think it was more so the walks that kind of got to him and just kind of led to things, pitch count up and just, opportunities for Texas A&M. But you got to think Texas A&M as well. You got Ryan Prager, Justin Lankin, and Miles Patton who can pitch at a very elite level. More so, I think they've been pitching at they give you quality starts almost every single time all 3 of them are out there. And it was just kind of the lineup situation. They're two very, I think, similar teams in the fact of starting pitching side. I think LSU has the edge there for sure. I think A&M has a little bit more offensive production against better pitching, like you said. Outside of, I'd say, Bear Jones. I mean, it's just, and Derek Curiel, because he's probably one of the best hitters in the SEC. He just reminds me of a Luis Arise. I think a little bit more pop. But it's just playing against really good pitching on the road, Chris, is not easy to do. And LSU, is one of those teams that's going to be in a lot of, I think, closer games than people think. Obviously, I'd say most games in the SEC are probably, run and a half different, I think, is the average score. That's why you see lines that are, 1.5 or 2.5, whatever it is. I think LSU's in a lot of situations, it's going to obviously help them for the postseason playing these tight games. And that's just kind of the pedigree of this team. They're not just smashing home runs like we've seen other LSU teams. I know we say that a lot, but I think it's important to kind of reiterate throughout the season. But I mean, Chris, and this was an opportunity that they could go in and kind of slam a door shut for A&M in a sense of like, hey, like we're LSU in this rivalry and we're at the top of the SEC. And, A&M, I think, took that, put on the bulletin, said, hey, this is a huge rivalry that I don't think a lot of people talk about. And A&M just came up clutch and Caden Sorrell. I mean, he even had bases loaded and I think it was in the 6th inning in maybe 7th and slaps it down left field line. A great catch. Chris, we saw a lot of really good catches in this series. I mean, especially out of left field. We saw, I think some other good catches around and good plays around the field.
We saw a lot of good catches across the league this week.
Across the league. And then obviously Tennessee Auburn series, you have a lot of sliding issues too with the turf and the wetness. Great catches in that game too. But I mean, this series, I think you just got a lot of what you love to see about college baseball. Elite pitching, timely hitting, clutchness, great defensive plays, and a rubber match and a rivalry series. I mean, I don't think you can ask for more, except for if you're an LSU fan to win that Game 3 in rubber match. But that just shows the guts and I think the will that this A&M team has that, doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. And we're here and, we're doing everything we can to play for each other, play at our highest and best of talents and abilities. And Chris, I said it to you off air. Caden Sorrell is the heartbeat of this A&M offense. Everything changed when he came back, and everything I think revolves around his offense production. When you have, I think that also takes a lot of the pressure off Jace Lavalette and allows him to, play a little more loose, a little more free. We've seen him do so heavily in huge series, but I think as a whole, he's played a lot better. I mean, his numbers are not, bad at all, like by any means. It's just, I think people had just such a high ceiling expectation from this season that all the pressure was on him. And I think that when you have Caden Sorrell returned and, how well he's played since then, it's rejuvenated this A&M offense. And, obviously the golden putter, no one really knows where it came from, just kind of happened. You get the Masters green jacket pretty timely with that as well. But, a monumental series that I think A&M wanted to have, desperately needed to have, and, is trending in the right direction again, especially responding after you go to Austin, the whole storylines with playing Texas and Coach Schlossnagle and getting swept there, all super close games. You come back home to Blue Bell Park in front of your fan base and you respond with a massive series win against LSU. This A&M team's not dead yet, Chris, and not a team you want to see as a 3 seed in your regional come postseason.
Texas A&M, to your point, Harrison, is one of the reasons we just love baseball. Because in this game, and I'm getting out ahead of myself, but throw Florida in this conversation. I think you could maybe throw Mississippi State in this conversation, but focusing on A&M. The beautiful thing about this game is you have opportunities to respond, and you have times where you have to respond. You have no other choice but to respond. I mean, this team was dead. I mean, I was so confident after they lost that series to Kentucky. I was like, this team is cooked.
Chris,
like,
it felt like the Monstars, like I said earlier this season, took their powers and just this is not the same A&M team.
Yeah, there was, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that Texas A&M was not going to the postseason. They were done. For them to, again, respond the way they have, like you mentioned, get swept at Texas, come back, beat a damn good LSU team, emotional series at Blue Bell, that home run by Caden Sorrell, I mean, it's one of those how can you not be romantic about baseball moments. Really, truly, came down to the wire as we expected, but my goodness, just the turnaround for Texas A&M. You can't say enough good things. Give credit to Michael Early, give credit to that coaching staff, because we dogged them so hard early in the season. They deserve a ton of credit for this. They deserve a ton of credit. And like you said, I don't think anybody wants to see A&M in their regional. Nobody. With those 3 horses they've got on the bump in the starting rotation and the talent they've got in the lineup, nobody wants to see them. On the LSU side, I want to say this before we get out of here, Harrison. and I swear I'm not picking on our friends from Baton Rouge at all, but it is funny. Just like you look at the reaction on social media and talk to some LSU folks, and I think they selfishly wanted this one because, again, LSU and A&M folks, let's call it what it is. They don't like each other. Doesn't matter the sport. So there's a lot of folks that are probably walking back some takes today from the LSU side. LSU's probably got the most antsy fan base in the SEC from the standpoint of, like, they beat Tennessee 2 out of 3. It's like, this team's the greatest team. They're, number one team. Then they lose 2 out of 3 to A&M, and you see some of the fire Jay Johnson takes coming back, which is just absolutely outrageous. But, like, that's how important winning is down there. The box is going to be rocking this weekend yet again, no doubt, against Arkansas. But again, LSU's going to be fine. Sometimes you just hand the baseball to your guy. And like I've told you before, Harrison, there's 2 things in this world I don't trust: college kickers and college bullpens. You just can't trust either one of them for anything it's worth. And, Zach Cowan's a great pitcher, and he's going to have better days. But sometimes their guy just beats your guy. And I could even argue, Harrison, the baseball gods kind of gave you one game 1 against Tennessee. They got theirs back against Texas A&M in game 3. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Sometimes you're on the wrong side of those kind of games, and that's all it took for A&M to win the series. So I mean, you talk about delivering. That series delivered in every aspect. But this A&M team, man, wow. I mean, you just can't say enough good things. You just can't. The turnaround's been incredible.
The turnaround, their production throughout their lineup. I mean, Ben Royo, you're talking about production. I mean, he's really stepped up, I think, more so than anyone else outside of Caden Sorrell. I mean, just the production that he's kind of given you, and Barry Harrison as well. I mean, he's now reached base safely in 25 of his last 28 games. I mean, I think that's just so important. Just guys getting on base, just finding a way, no matter what, it's a walk, hit by pitch, error, base hit, it doesn't matter what it is. And, when you have guys like that in the lineup that can step up to help, help the offensive production. And then you have guys in the mound who, McCoy, he's allowed 1 run in 16 strikeouts in his last 10 1/3. I mean, to do that coming out of the pen, I mean, it's crazy to see how the turnaround has been for them. And you have now A&M, who has series victories, 3 of them over a top 2 opponent this season, Chris. I mean, they've won 4 of their last 5 SEC series. You got guys getting hot, peaking, playing together, playing their best baseball at the right time, Chris. It's all about getting hot at the right time, Chris, and A&M's doing that right now towards the end of the season.
The Aggies are officially hot, one could argue. LSU look to bounce back next weekend.